My grandfather worked at Greenlawn Cemetery for 43 years. 43 years of cutting grass around the dead, 43 years of replacing wilted flowers and scrubbing moss off forgotten names, 43 years of watching the sun rise and fall over rows of silent stone. He had one rule he never broke: never stay past sunset. Not once, not ever, not even when there was work left to do or when winter came early and stole the daylight before he could finish. I thought it was superstition, old man fears, the kind of thing you dismiss with a laugh and a shake of your head, the ramblings of someone who'd spent too much time alone with the dead. Then I inherited his job. It happened suddenly, heart attack at 79. He went in his sleep, which everyone said was a blessing. I didn't know what else to do with my life, bouncing between jobs that paid nothing and led nowhere, so when the cemetery board offered me his position, I took it. The pay wasn't much, but I needed work. The place wasn't big, maybe 200 plots, most of them from the 1800s. Headstones leaning like crooked teeth, names worn smooth by rain and time. Some grave had flowers, most didn't, just weathered stone and the occasional flag for forgotten soldiers. My first week was fine, cutting grass, trimming hedges, raking leaves, the usual groundskeeper work. The cemetery was peaceful during the day, quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't feel empty, just still, like the world was holding its breath. But then I found his notebook in the tool shed. It was tucked behind a rusted can of oil, wrapped in a plastic bag to keep the moisture out. Leather-bound, cracked and old, pages yellow with age and covered in his tight, shaky handwriting. Inside, he'd written the same thing over and over, page after page, different dates, different years, but always the same words. Leave before the sun touches the horizon. Do not stay for the bells. Do not answer if something calls your name. Some entries were longer, little notes scribbled in the margins. They move closer each time. I heard 3 voices tonight, all mine. The woman in white asked me to stay. I ran. Bells, there was no church nearby, no tower, nothing for miles except farmland and a narrow road that barely anyone used. I figured he'd lost it in his old age. Dementia, maybe. Alzheimer's. My mom always said he'd gotten strange toward the end, talking to himself, forgetting where he was. So I didn't think much of it. I kept the notebook, more out of curiosity than anything else, and I went back to work. But then I stayed late one Thursday. It wasn't on purpose. I'd been trimming around the back plots, the old section where nobody visited anymore, and I lost track of time. 1 row turned into 2, 2 turned into 3. Before I knew it, the sky was shifting from blue to orange to deep, bruised purple. The sun was sinking fast, painting everything in shades of red and gold. That's when I heard them. Bells. Faint at first, so faint I thought I'd imagined it, but then I heard it again, a slow, deliberate rhythm coming from somewhere beneath the ground. Clangs, clangs, clang. I stopped mid-cut, the mower engine rumbling beneath the sound. I turned it off and the silence rushed in, thick and heavy and wrong. The bells kept ringing. And then I heard my name. Michael. Soft, almost a whisper, but clear, too clear. It came from the far corner of the cemetery, near the older section where the grave didn't have flowers anymore. Just stone, just moss, just silence. Michael, over here. My skin prickled, my throat went dry. I should have left. Every instinct screamed at me to get in my truck and go, to get out before the sun disappeared completely. But I didn't. I don't know why. Curiosity, maybe. Stubbornness. The stupid human need to explain away the things that scare us. I walked toward the voice. Each step felt heavier than the last. The grass was damp beneath my boots. The air smelled like rain and wet earth and something else, something I couldn't name, something old. The bells kept ringing, louder now, closer. And then I saw her. A woman in a white dress standing between 2 graves. Her back was to me, hair hanging long and dark down her spine. She didn't move, didn't sway, just stood there like a statue. Hello, I called out, my voice sounded small. She didn't respond. Ma'am, we're closed, you need to leave. The wind picked up, the trees at the edge of the cemetery swayed and creaked. Slowly, too slowly, she turned around. Her face was wrong. I don't know how else to say it. The features were there, eyes, nose, mouth, but they didn't fit together right. Like someone had drawn a person from memory and gotten the proportions just slightly off. Her eyes were too far apart, her mouth too wide, her skin too smooth like wax. She smiled. Not a kind smile, not a cruel one either, just empty. "You stayed," she said. Her voice sounded wet, like she was speaking through water, through something thick and cold. I'm sorry, but you can't be here," I managed. My hands were shaking. She tilted her head too far to one side, farther than any neck should bend. "Neither can you." The bells stopped. Everything stopped. The wind, the rustling leaves, even the distant hum of traffic from the road, it all went silent. And that's when I noticed the others. Figures standing between the grave, dozens of them, maybe more, all facing me, all perfectly still. Men in old suits, women in dresses from another century, children in clothes too formal for play. They hadn't been there a moment ago. I would have seen them, I would have heard them. But now they were everywhere. What is this?" I stammered. The woman stepped closer. Her feet didn't make a sound on the grass. She didn't leave footprints in the damp earth. "We wait here," she said, "for someone to stay, someone to hear the bells, someone to answer when we call. I'm leaving right now." I turned to run, but they were behind me too, a wall of silent figures blocking the path to my truck. Their faces were all wrong, all slightly off, all empty. My heart pounded in my chest. My breath came in short, shallow gasps. "You can't leave now," the woman whispered. She was right behind me. I could feel the cold radiating off her. "The bells have rung. The sun is gone. You stayed too long, Michael." I shoved past one of the figures, and my hand went right through it, like pushing through cold smoke, through fog. But I felt something, a pull, a tug deep in my chest, like invisible fingers wrapping around my ribs and pulling me back toward them. I ran. Didn't look back, didn't think, just ran toward the gate with everything I had. The bells started again, faster this time, frantic. Clang, 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 clang. And voices joined in, dozens of them, hundreds, all calling my name in that same wet, empty tone. "Michael, Michael." My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but I didn't stop. I hit the gate hard, fumbling with the latch. My fingers were numb, clumsy. It wouldn't open. I yanked, kicked, screamed for help even though I knew no one would hear me. And then I felt a hand on my shoulder. Cold, so cold it burned through my shirt and into my skin. "Stay," the woman's voice whispered in my ear. "Stay with us. It's easier if you don't fight. Everyone fights at first, but they all stay in the end." Something inside me snapped. Pure animal terror took over. I grabbed the iron bars and pulled with everything I had. The latch gave way with a screech of metal. I stumbled through and hit the ground hard on the other side. My palms scraped against gravel, my knee cracked against stone. When I looked back, they were all standing at the gate, watching, a wall of wrong faces and empty eyes. The woman stood in front. She smiled again. "See you tomorrow, Michael." And then they were gone. Not fadding, not walking away, just gone, like they'd never been there at all. I drove home and didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the bells. The next morning I went back to the cemetery. Daylight, safe. I told myself it was a hallucination, exhaustion, stress, something explainable. I walked to the spot where I'd seen her. There was a grave there I'd never noticed before. Strange, considering I'd been working there for weeks. I should have seen it. The headstone was old, worn almost smooth by weather and time. But I could still make out the letters. Michael Brennan, 1891 to 1923, beloved groundskeeper, rest in peace. That was my name. My full name. My blood went cold. I checked the records in the office, flipped through the logbooks until I found the entry. There was no mistake. He was buried there, a groundskeeper who'd worked at Greenlawn for 11 years. He died on the job, alone, after sunset, cause of death unknown. I quit that day, walked into the office and told them I couldn't do it anymore. Didn't explain, didn't need to. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Before I left, I checked my grandfather's notebook one more time. The last entry was dated the day before he retired, written in a shaking hand, letters barely legible. It said, "I stayed too long once. 40 years ago when I was young and stupid and thought I knew better. I saw them, I heard the bells, I ran, but I think part of me is still there. I feel it pulling me back every sunset, every single day. A tug in my chest like a fishhook caught deep. If you're reading this, don't make my mistake. Some places don't let you leave, not completely. They take a piece of you, and one day they'll come for the rest. I don't work there anymore. But sometimes, late at night when the world is quiet, I hear bells. Faint, distant, but there. And I feel it too, that pull, that tug deep in my chest. Like something's waiting for me to come back. And I wonder, did I really make it out? Or did I leave part of myself behind?